This is the what-if factory, and we don't just ask the questions, we build the reality. Forget rockets, forget microchips, forget Mars. What happens when the man who tries to manage humanity's future can't manage his own past? Tonight, we dive into the catastrophic, hilarious, and utterly bizarre scenario of, what if Elon Musk woke up with no memory, and thought he was a medieval farmer? The hook is simple: the mind that designs reusable rockets, tunnels under cities, and plans for the preservation of human consciousness is now convinced its only purpose is to ensure the preservation of the winter rye crop. The moment of the shift occurs at 3 a.m. in the bedroom of a futuristic, minimalist Texas smart home. Elon Musk, who usually wakes after exactly 6 hours of sleep ready to tackle his companies in 5-minute blocks, bolts upright. But the man who wakes is not the CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, he is Elric of Wessex, a simple, weary tenant farmer from the year 1285. The acute, analytical processing power remains, but the context is catastrophically medieval. The global infrastructure of his empire is about to meet the unwavering logic of the three-field system. The first sign of the temporal cognitive break is the alarm clock. The complex digital readout flashing, 3 a.m., is interpreted by Elric as the mark of the dark arts, a glowing, infernal box that speaks in tongues. His first action is a terrified scramble to destroy the device, convinced it is a tool of the local baron's tax collectors or a malicious fairy. This frantic action, mistaking a sleek piece of modern engineering for evil sorcery, sets the tone for the entire crisis. Elric, driven by the ingrained farmer's fear of wasting daylight and losing his meager holdings to the Lord, stumbles out of the bedroom. The immense, glass-walled structure of the home is not a marvel of architecture, but a palace of cold, suspicious opulence. He sees the large television screen as a scrying pool, and the voice-activated home assistant as a malicious familiar waiting to report him to the local lord. His primary goal is now simple: find his tools, find his oxen, and get to the fallow field before dawn. The immediate crisis falls on his executive assistant, who arrives at 7 a.m., ready to brief him on the Starlink deployment schedule and the latest Cybertruck production bottlenecks. She finds the kitchen in disarray, a terrified Elric trying to fashion a crude scythe out of a broken chair leg and a discarded piece of metallic Tesla trim. The conversation is a hilarious, mind-bending clash of centuries. The assistant tries to talk about gigafactories. Elric insists he only knows of the grain stack. She mentions Neuralink. He warns her gravely of the Black Death and the need for more herbal poultices. When shown a photo of the Falcon 9 rocket, Elric doesn't see a miracle of propulsion. He sees a massive, iron-tipped plow that would require 50 oxen to pull, an absurd extravagance only the richest duke could afford. The assistant, thinking this is an extreme, stress-induced breakdown, a performance art piece gone wrong, tries to calmly lead him to a meeting. Elric refuses. He has far more important things to worry about. The field needs to be plowed 3 times before the spring's sowing, the winter pigs need to be butchered and salted, and the thatched roof on his meager cottage, the pool house, in reality, is leaking. His entire world has shrunk from interplanetary colonization to the desperate, caloric-driven reality of a 13th-century serf. The most catastrophic consequence, however, begins at SpaceX. The team is waiting for the final, critical design approval for a new engine component. The CEO, Elric, dials into the video conference, from the pool house, wearing a burlap sack fashioned into a tunic. When the lead engineer presents the complex CAD model, Elric looks at the screen with laser focus, and then offers his only piece of engineering advice: the moldboard is set too shallow. It will not turn the soil correctly. We must ensure the iron tip is durable enough to break the clay soil, or the rye will fail, and the Lord will take our sheep. The SpaceX engineers are baffled, but knowing Musk's eccentricities, they initially try to decode the medieval metaphor, thinking the moldboard must be a new code name for the thrust vector control. The project grinds to a halt because the man who champions first principles thinking is now applying those principles to the geometry of an ox-drawn plow. At Tesla, the disruption is more immediate. Elric finds a gleaming red Tesla Model S in the garage. His reaction is not awe, but terror. He sees it as a demon chariot, a silent, powerful beast of burden that moves without horse or yoke. Convinced it is a tool of the devil, he tries to bless the vehicle with water he finds in a dirty bucket, and later, attempts to set fire to the tires to neutralize the evil spirit within. When he finally gets inside, he recognizes the yoke-style steering wheel. It is clearly meant for an ox, but the lack of a proper harness system sends him into a frustrated rage, demanding that his servants, his security detail, find him leather straps and proper hames. The sheer scale of his confusion escalates when he is finally shown his bank account balance on a tablet, a number representing billions of dollars. Elric, the medieval farmer, doesn't see wealth, he sees a terrifying series of complex, unnecessary Roman numerals that must be the ledger of his feudal debt to the Lord. He immediately demands that all the money be converted into salt, dried fish, and seed grain for the spring sowing, the only true wealth he recognizes. The core conflict of the scenario is this: modern life relies on abstract concepts, stock valuation, binary code, orbital mechanics, while Elric's life relies only on physical, tangible reality, seed, soil, sweat, sun. He has no capacity for the abstract. When his staff tries to explain the internet, he sees only smoke signals or telepathic communication aided by the fairies. The concept of Starlink is utterly beyond him. The eventual resolution is triggered by the natural rhythms of the medieval calendar. After several chaotic, disastrous days where he tries to trade a Bitcoin cold storage wallet for a hardy breeding pig, Elric becomes obsessed with the need for a communal gathering. In the Middle Ages, the church was the center of social life. He insists on finding the local parish priest to confess his sins and ask for guidance on dealing with the demonic television. His team, desperate, takes him to the nearest grand, impressive church in Texas, thinking the sheer scale might trigger a memory. It doesn't. But the ritual of the church, the familiar smells of incense and the sound of the Latin choir, provides a moment of grounding. He kneels to pray, his farmer's mind focused on a simple plea: protection from the crop blight and a mild winter. In that quiet, historical moment, the shock of the past and the reality of the present intersect. As the sun streams through the stained glass window, a single thought pierces the medieval fog: the plow is not efficient. He sees the slow, laborious process of the oxen, the poor yield of the harvest, the vulnerability to the weather, the sheer, unsustainable inefficiency of the 13th century. It's not a memory of Tesla or SpaceX that returns, it's the core value of optimization. The first spark of Elon Musk's genius returns, born from the farmer's despair. He looks up and says, with the intensity that has defined his career, the oxen are too slow. The three-field system is a suboptimal use of arable land resources. The entire system must be re-engineered from first principles. The memories flood back not as a gentle stream, but as a hard crash of data. He remembers the rockets, the electric cars, the tunnels, the mission to Mars. All of it is simply the ultimate application of efficiency to the problems of the farmer, transporting goods faster than a cart, creating light without a wick, and ensuring the human species has more than one field to plant its crops. Elon Musk returns, but the experience leaves an indelible mark. He gains a newfound, terrifying appreciation for the fragility of human existence and the immense struggle required for basic survival. He immediately dedicates a new, massive fund to vertical farming and sustainable water purification, seeing these as the most primal, existential problems that his future tech can solve. The billionaire still builds rockets, but the farmer now knows exactly what it means to run out of grain. The man who woke up a peasant is now convinced his entire, future-focused empire is simply one massive, technological effort to avoid ever having to worry about the winter rye crop again. And that, factory fanatics, is the terrifying reality of a memory lost, and a purpose solidified.